So was making sure we're recording.
All right. I think we are. So that's good. Welcome, everybody. It's Erin.
And Nicole. This is Dude That's Fucked Up. You know what? You love it.
What's everybody up to? I hope you're well. Got a real fun show.
Oh,
really disgusting. Trigger warning. Don't eat while listening to this episode.
Yeah, Erin and I were just saying we both tried to do research while we were eating lunch and it was a bad idea. I immediately stopped and was like, I think I'll not do this yet.
Yeah. Well, I was like eating and then I was just like, I think I'm done eating now.
Yeah. I'm done. Well, you want a good diet? Listen to this episode while you while you eat.
It'll suppress any craving for food that you have.
Yeah.
Well, before we get to that, do we have any business that we'd like to bring up, discuss, talk about?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. We talked about we've been talking about putting some new merch in the store on our website, DTFUpodcast.com.
Yeah.
If you have any suggestions for things that you would like to see in there, shoot us a note. We're open to suggestions right now. We want to make sure that we keep it fresh, keep it cool, do stuff that we haven't really done before. If there's something that you're really dying for, let us know.
Yes, love it. If there's something you really want to see from us, we would love to know.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we'll just put what we think would be fun.
Yeah. And we have some like solid ideas to start, but like we want to know what the people want.
Yeah. We're here for the people.
Yeah. So I guess that's it for business. Do you have anything fucked up this week?
No, I just have been fuming ever since I woke up this morning about the Ted Cruz stuff because that man.
Oh my God. Oh, excuse me. It makes me like have indigestion. I'm thinking about it. Just like what a gross human he is.
I hate him so much. And then I just like hate that he's lying about it now. It's like, you fucking skin mark. Just own it and be a piece of shit.
Dude, honestly,
we all know you're gross.
It's not even that he's lying about it. It's that he's like blaming his daughters and his wife for like.
Yeah, like, oh, and also they don't need your escort, okay, sir? What the fuck are you capable of doing?
He could have just like been like, okay, that's fair. Like you have, 2 kids who are cooped up in the house. It's a fucking pandemic.
Yeah.
You're in like dire straits, but like. The optics alone of just, even if you just sent your wife and your daughters to the fucking Ritz-Carlton in Cabo, like, that alone is bad. But then like thinking he was really gonna go, like he had his plane ticket booked for a full like 4 days, and he tried to say he was escorting his wife and daughters down there like he's some kind of fucking like
macho man.
I don't know, like this also, man with like the biggest carry-on possible. Like, come on, sir.
It's just, but his carry-on, that's irrelevant because we all know that that's just a collection for his white goopy mouth, and that's the bag he puts it all in. He's always scraping it off and putting it in the bag, and he needs that big one because there's a lot.
His mouth smegma.
Oh. I hate him so much. And it's like,
dude, nobody likes him. Like, even in politics, like literally nobody likes him. I think Lindsey
So get
Graham.
him the fuck out. What? I just don't understand. I'm so heated all the time. Like, what is going on? Why are the dumbest fucking people in charge? Or why do they have any power whatsoever? If everyone hates him, find a way to out him. Like, get rid of him.
They got pretty close last election. Beto got pretty close, but like honestly,
they wouldn't have liked it. All the Republicans would not have liked that. I'm saying even the Republicans should be like, let's find someone else.
Oh no, I know. Well, it's because he's so unliked by everybody that they're like, he pisses us off the liberals too. Yeah. Like he makes people so mad. It's fine. Let's just keep him around. He sucks so hard, and he's so annoying that he sucks up the air in the room for everybody.
That makes sense. And also, if you're like Mitch McConnell or Lindsey Graham, you want him around.
You want some heat.
You're
you want
not
some
at
heat
the
off.
bottom. Yeah. Like, I mean, like, in terms of just, like, pure evil, Mitch McConnell's number 1 and Lindsey Graham is number 2.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of, like, a shit show, it's Ted Cruz. You know what I mean?
He's just obnoxious and not smart. And like even Lindsey Graham has said you could like, he's said this, it's like a quote you could find that he said on the record. He said basically something to the effect of, you could kill Ted Cruz on the floor of the Senate and nobody would care. Nobody would convict you.
Oh my God.
Because nobody likes him. Like,
everyone would be like, oh, anyway, what's for lunch?
That is like fucking brutal.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. So this man, I just like the fact that he's blaming his wife and his daughters, like just like throwing them so hard under the bus. It's like, oh my God. What a fucking skid mark.
Oh my God. I know, I wrote in the notes, breaking news and something we've always known, which isn't breaking news. Ted Cruz can eat a bag of adult Bigfoot foreskins. Just like a bunch of adult Bigfoot circumcisions, but put the foreskins in a bag and then make Ted Cruz eat them.
Yeah. Like whoever.
Don't cook them either. They're raw.
Yeah. Whoever the Bigfoot moil is out there, he has a big bag of Bigfoot dick skins that he's just been saving for this moment.
Yep. They're all Bigfoot jerky at this point.
Yeah. Eat it. Eat a bag of it.
It's not teriyaki flavored. Yeah.
No. It's
plain. And it's pube flavored and it's gross.
Inexplicably extremely salty.
Oh my God.
We're going to be doing a lot of that sound.
Yeah, it's just going to get worse today. Yeah. Sorry. Do you have anything fucked up this week?
Honestly, this has the dunking on Ted Cruz has just been so much fun that I haven't. It's only brought me joy. Like, I am truly sad and sorry for the people of Texas. Like, you deserve so much better, like, than this man. Even if you voted for him, like, you still deserve a not chode.
Yeah,
a non-chode representing you. Like, dude, it's rough.
He's basically what's the term for it? What's it called when you're like a coward in battle and you like just leave? A deserter.
Yeah.
He just like fucking deserted his job and all of his people and his like post. When you're supposed to be helping people the most.
He really just was like, well, I guess there's nothing I could do here. Meanwhile, he has a million contacts. He has like all these people that he could call to like.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of it, is that he's such a shithead that nobody likes him, that he knows that he wouldn't have any pull with any of these people. And he couldn't really help anybody if he wanted to. But it's like, even that, you just don't create the optics of this shitstorm that
just
you
stay
now
home.
see. Just stay home. Like you
just stay home and be useless.
You could always do or say nothing.
Yeah.
That's a strategy. Okay?
That is a whole option, yes. And excuse me. Also, like, Beto is out here trying to do the most for his
He's a private
state.
citizen. He wasn't elected to shit, and he's out here, he's like organizing phone banks to check on elderly residents.
But that's the difference between like people who really view public service as a calling and like want to be in those jobs, not to be famous or have attention, like dumb Ted Cruz. Like, they want to, like, Ted Cruz wants to be a celebrity, but he's not.
Ted Cruz really wants to be president.
Oh, that is never gonna happen. I mean, I don't think he's likable enough.
Oh, absolutely not. But that is his ambition, is to like, that is a known thing. He wants to be president. This is why he just like does whatever the fuck and says whatever the fuck, because
I would say I will personally see to it that he's not, but that sounds like a threat, so I'm not going to say that. For legal reasons.
Sure. Either way. A person that fucking sucks. Yeah.
Yeah, he's barely a person.
Also, like, yeah, I'm also really glad that Rush Limbaugh's dead. That is see, there's like nothing fucked up about this past week. Like, I mean,
it's all a celebration
in terms of the news.
Texas is fucked up. Yeah.
Texas is fucked up, but
we had some wins.
We had some wins. Good fucking riddance. I hope he's burning in hell for all of eternity. That man was a piece of shit, and I have nothing good to say about him. And that's all the time and energy I'm going to expend on him.
I have something good to say about him. Just one thing.
Okay.
He's dead. What?
Oh, dear God. Literally, there are some, like, why is there a hell, quote unquote?
Yeah,
why does hell exist if not for absolute fucking evil people like
for
Rush
that,
Limbaugh?
man.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, anyway, enough about garbage men.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I know. Oh my God.
I feel like we've already wasted too much time on them. Let's just like get into our topic. Let's go.
Let's do it. Well, I want to say, speaking of not garbage men, speaking of just like pure angels and just like a BFF of the pod, first we got to give a shout out to DJ Brian Derrick because
Yay.
Oh my gosh, bless his heart. He shared a video with us, I think a couple months ago. It was like, hey, if you're ever interested, this would be a fun topic. And also, these videos are just generally fun. There's like a whole, it's called Tous les histories.
L'histoire.
Oui. We're going to have so much fucked up French in this.
Oh my God.
In this episode. Okay. So he shared this channel with us. That's what the YouTube channel is called. And basically the video was about how gross the Palace of Versailles was back in its heyday. And to not beat around the bush, we're going to be talking about the Palace of Versailles today. Not just like a quick history of it, but like some very, very gross stuff about it that's also just kind of fun and very on brand for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not talking about, in case anyone's confused, and they're like, oh, Versailles from Florida, that house in Florida, that's like the biggest McMansion. That's not the one we're talking about.
Also gross, but not the one we're talking about.
Also gross, and we should do an episode on it because the people that built it are like timeshare scam professionals, and they're total pieces of shit. And we should definitely talk about them, but that's not who we're talking about today. We're just talking about regular old French Versailles, like the OG.
Yes. The Palace of Versailles and how absolutely disgusting it was.
Oh my God.
Like, I think we all kind of know this.
No, I did not know this. I mean,
I didn't know the extent. I didn't know.
No. That's the thing. Because it's like, we knew that back then people, you know, we've done like the toilet episode and we've talked about the bubonic plague and stuff.
And those topics definitely dovetail into this one very nicely. So,
and we know that people were not the cleanest of clean.
Well,
but
at least not relative to how we now understand hygiene. They didn't understand it the way we do now.
No. That's an understatement. They actively did all the wrong things.
Yeah.
And that's just how it was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's fine. Just like a very, very, very quick history on the palace. Because it's interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. It's a very cool place. The Palace of Versailles was Louis XIV's grand design, and it served as the main palace for French royalty from 1682 until 1789. And what was initially his father's hunting ground, which was built in 1624, was constructed into a huge palace beginning in 1661. So he was like, I kind of want to leave Paris. I want to go live in the country. It wasn't even a suburb. Yeah, it was a countryside. And he was like, I want to go live there. My dad had this like chateau that he built. It's beautiful. We could turn it into something cool and then make everyone come to us. And so that was his goal. Mm-hmm. And when it was eventually big enough, he moved his entire court into it. And it at like its height, it housed like 4,000 people at a time. And it was like a whole self-contained city.
Yeah.
One without running water or bathrooms, which we'll get to in a second. But it had plenty of rooms for fucking, just in case you were curious. There was a lot of fucking, a lot of dirty taint fucking.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like real dirty. And it kind of reminds me, like Versailles in general kind of reminds me of like Las Vegas, where like, you know, every hotel is like its own contained city in a way. Like each hotel has like a salon, a spa, a you know, it'll have like restaurants,
shopping,
yeah, a Brighton store for all the women coming from Ohio and everywhere.
No shade.
No shade.
But
I know. So Versailles is located outside of Paris, and it still is around today, and it is actually now a protected landmark and museum, and it's accessible by a train ride. Like Pete in 2016, Pete and I visited Europe, and we went to Paris, and we went to Versailles on the train, and it was like very nice. And you get there and like you walk a couple blocks and you turn the corner and it's fucking there, and you're like, oh my God, it's huge. And it's like a museum and stuff, and we walked around inside, but we spent most of our time out in the gardens, which were like the really cool part. It was like being in a painting or something. They're just all like perfectly
and you just
kept.
Have this backdrop of this massive, beautiful like chateau.
Yeah, it is.
Castle, whatever.
Castle,
you know?
yeah. It is. It's like, I mean, it's like a resort or like it's huge. And it's very cool. I highly suggest checking it out. But the gardens are very beautiful. Speaking of which, they take up like, I think approximately 30,000 acres, and they house 400 sculptures and 1,400 fountains. And
Jesus.
You like at times just walking through there, we felt like we were alone. Like you didn't see anyone there. That's how big they are.
It's
and
massive,
even though,
yeah,
this is like a huge destination for tourists, and it's still so big that like you can kind of get like not lost, but you know, you kind of like
can
find
be in your own
by
space.
yourself.
Yeah.
And you can like rent boats on the little ponds, and like we drank wine outside, and it was so nice. It was really cool. But enough about the fun stuff. So this palace, this is like maybe the biggest fun fact that everyone needs to know. This palace was built, again, remember, it was like built with, you know, it has 30,000 acres of garden. It had approximately 700 rooms when it was first built. It now has like closer to 2,300 rooms. So it has been, you know, expanded upon since it was first built. But in the original blueprints, Louis XIV's grand plan for this palace, it had one bathroom suite. And the one bathroom suite was not attached to the main palace. It was on the grounds outside. It was like a standalone building outside of his mistress's apartment, and it was not to bathe in. It was made so that he could go and they could fuck in it in the water. And have their like showgirls Nomi Malone like thrash about in the on the palace grounds.
Like it was a quote unquote bathroom because there was a huge tub like
a marble
in ground,
bath.
and it was like it's made with this like gorgeous like marble that's this like insane color, and it's like I think like the cost of it alone was like something like in today's money that I it's like ridiculous, like millions of dollars.
Oh my God.
But so it had a bathtub, but it was not for bathing. It was for fucking in. That was literally the reason for it.
It was for massages, or what did they say in that
and
video?
Eroticism.
Eroticism, yeah. It was for strong embraces and eroticism. It was not, and maybe like if it was a very hot day, like to cool off, but that is rare. They were going in there to fuck.
Yeah.
And that brings us to how people at this time were not only unhygienic, they were straight up disgusting.
Yeah. So we're going to just talk a little bit about the hygiene of the time, and specifically within the walls of the Palace of Versailles at this time of Louis XIV's reign. So like you said, he hated Paris. He wanted to live in the countryside. So he built Versailles just for the purpose of living and having all of his courtiers with him. So this place had a lot of people in it.
Yeah.
And one major factor that we have to understand at this point in history, people, like especially this very specific group of people, and I think people all over the continent believed water was a carrier for all things nasty. Mm-hmm. So obviously water.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
To be fair,
there's all kinds of stuff that can be in water that is dangerous. We know there's lots of harmful bacteria that can live in water and can cause many horrible diseases and illnesses. But at this time, people thought that water was just always and forever gross. Like it was like, it was something to be afraid of, basically.
Yeah.
And they truly believe that if you got it onto your skin, especially warm water or hot water, and it soaked into your pores, which your pores open up when it's warm, you would get sick. And this was a time they believed in like balancing the humors and bleeding people and like it would be like if Goop was really into like detoxing, like it's like that was their detoxing. That was their like Goop cleanse, was like putting leeches on your body and not bathing. So
which is very anti-Goop, honestly.
Yeah, well,
probably. I don't know. I don't get too far into it. Also, it's wild to me that like they thought water was bad for you, but they somehow knew your pores opened up. Like your little tiny little microscopic pores, they knew that they opened when you like took a steam bath.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Know. It's like how?
Well, to be fair, their pores must have been huge back then.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think they were.
They were not exfoliating.
And they were just like drunk like they had like alcoholic's nose.
Yeah, like you could
where it's like
you could visibly see their pores everywhere.
Yeah.
Such a bitch. But a really major factor for this like quote unquote fear of water, like it wasn't like a fear, but it was just this kind of wariness of it.
Yeah.
A big reason for it was the collective trauma and subsequent misconceptions that followed the plague. So they realized and they knew that they'd figured out that the plague was airborne, but they also reasoned incorrectly that because of this, it could land in water and therefore contaminate it. Now, I yes, like technically that could be true. Like if like you, like a dead rat that was carrying the bubonic plague fell in the water and contaminated a water source, like,
and then you drank it or something.
Yeah, like all kinds of things like that. But like they just literally thought that like a cup of water sitting out on your nightstand was just like gonna poison
Don't get it near your pores.
Yeah, it's just like but and it wasn't even about drinking it or consuming it. It was just like simply the act of getting it like on your body was like gonna make you sick. So and I it's kind of a fair deduction for the time, but obviously that's not how it works. And if they ever did actually like bathe or soak in water, it was medicinal. Like if like they really had to get layers of dirt off of a open sore or something, which happened all the time.
Off their sore pores.
Yeah, like that was something that like the doctors would like be in the room for. Like they weren't doing it unsupervised. You know what I mean?
And there was maybe something in the bath, like some sort of stringent or like, it was like very monitored. Or they did it to cool down.
Right.
When it got hot. But the fucked up thing is, they weren't doing it for cleanliness. And even when they bathed, like some of them still remained not fully clothed, but like Marie Antoinette never bathed naked.
Yeah. She always had like some sort of like,
undershirt.
Dressing gown or undershirt on that would just cling to her body but it's like she still got out of the bath and you could see her titties because it was like a white undershirt.
It's a wet t-shirt contest just every time she takes a bath.
Yeah. So and then they just like hurry up and wrap her in a towel. It's like, ma'am, you just might as well be naked here. So
yeah.
Which is odd because we have all these like conceptions or preconceived notions of like them having their titties hanging out all the time.
No.
Which was
but it was like pushed. It was like smushed into a corset, so just the tops hanged out.
Yeah, and that wasn't considered weird. That was just the fashion. So there's a lot of like real mental gymnastics going on at this time with how to do things.
Oh my God. Also, also Louis XIV would take full, like, he would take court while he was taking dumps.
Yeah, you know, like the phrase sitting on the throne, like when you're going to the bathroom. That was what he would sit on his throne, which had a hole in it that he would shit into, and it would plop into a little bowl underneath. And he'd just sit there and he'd be like, "Oh, oui, yeah, continue."
Yeah, he'd go, "Behead them."
Guillotine.
He'd be like, "Guillotine."
No. That was like designed for the aristocracy, so they were just like,
yeah,
fine. Yeah, he would just be shitting, and like farmers would come in and be like, "Can you just like not shit right now, or do you have to be doing this?" And he's like, "Ooey."
Everyone's like, you should probably eat more fiber, which means I hope that his butt cheeks created like a hermetic seal or whatever on the toilet pot, because otherwise, like, everyone's just smelling.
Well, think about how he had like all these like robes and, you know, shit.
Oh yeah, true. It's like yeah.
So maybe it wasn't as obvious, but my favorite story about him
it's
shitting.
Obvious. Someone's shitting.
Like, there's a story that was in this documentary. Do you remember this part of the documentary where he went to go take a dump on his throne, but one of the like the palace cats had like curled up inside the bowl,
and it was white,
and it was a white cat, and he like went and didn't see it, went and sat on it, started taking a shit, and the cat like scratched the fuck out of his butt, like a nightmare.
Dude, maybe that's really how he got his second butthole.
I mean,
cat scratch butthole.
Honestly, you shit on a cat and then it scratches you. What do you think's gonna happen?
You deserve it. Yeah.
Like, you're gonna get a huge asshole infection.
Oh my God. Could you imagine? I like how too, like, you've heard horror stories of like crocodiles and snakes coming up through toilets and biting people, but it's like, if you have to look for a cat every time you take a dump, like at night and stuff. Also, why was a cat in there? Cat. There's so many more places to be cozy and hide, okay? You don't need to be hiding in this toilet.
Well, that cat wasn't white anymore after that. He got doo-dooed on by the king.
He was a doo-doo cat after that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
He
Ew.
was scat cat.
Bitch.
A 2 dumps forward, a 2 dumps back.
I scratch your asshole. That's how I attack. You know. Oh my God. So stupid.
Oh my God.
Well, that's the thing that happened apparently.
And that's how I attack, and you know.
Oh my God.
DJ Brian Derrick, that's for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pull a stand. Oh my God.
Well, moving.
You know what? Let's take a break real quick.
Oh, absolutely. We need it. So it's important to understand that at the time, cleanliness was a completely different concept than what we consider cleanliness now.
Yeah.
There was just different standards, different ways of thinking about it. And because like water wasn't utilized in the way that we use it now, it couldn't be. So
they honestly didn't even really use it.
I mean, they did to some degree, but there's all these urban legends, I guess, that like Louis XIV only bathed once in his life. That is not true.
Right.
He did bathe every now and then. Like, he probably bathed more than his courtiers, though. Like, and you know, there's evidence that he like went to the Turkish baths all the time. Like, he traveled. Like, he was not like completely hopeless, but it wasn't.
But it wasn't a priority.
It wasn't a priority, and it was the way he approached like going to like a Turkish bath was not for cleanliness. It was for relaxation and to fuck his mistresses. So 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 the whole thing was, though, is if you appeared clean, like literally you had no dirt on your face or clothes, that was considered clean. Meanwhile, they just smelled like shit.
Yeah. Meanwhile, their like skin was dirty and just like probably had a stench. Yeah, and their buttholes smelled, I would imagine. Everything was just kind of smelly, but I think so. You're kind of saying like, oh yeah, he would go to Turkish baths, he would do these things. And I feel like every way that, or like most of the ways that people got clean were just like coincidental. It was never the purpose to like be clean. It was like, I want to fuck my mistress in her bathtub. And it's like, oh, and I happen to be in water and thank God, you know, that my taint is getting scrubbed down. You know, it's getting a soak. And I think one of the things that saved them is that because they wanted like to keep up the appearance of being clean and it was important to have really clean linens and clothing and stuff, they changed a lot throughout the day. And that was like kind of something that truly saved them, which it didn't cut down on the smell because ultimately they weren't changing the undergarment, which was like actually touching their skin and their dirty asshole. But they were changing the outer clothing a lot. So, like, at least they were, like, freshening up throughout the day. But, yeah,
but still,
it's
like,
not enough.
Yeah, there was still, like, a must about them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they were changing clothes all the time. And since baths were not common to clean themselves in the palace, dry washing was the way that they would, like, sort of clean themselves because, you know, you do get like schmutz all over you and you have to wipe it off at some point. Like your nails get grimy, you get, you know, neck sweat, whatever.
Fucking
like, you know,
turkey leg grease on your face.
Yeah.
Like, or you get whatever they're eating.
You get your Joker smile wine mouth. Like your feet start to stink.
Oh, yeah.
So what they would do is dry washing. What that is basically taking a washcloth and pouring aquavitae, which was basically ethanol alcohol or like it's a distilled spirit, which is essentially the main ingredient in hand sanitizer. So like not the worst thing to clean yourself with, but it's not actually like, you know, soap and water. So but they'd have, you know, like the king, for example, his morning routine was he'd have a servant come in, pour it over his hands, his face, his feet, and I'm hoping armpits and butt cracks, but probably not.
Yeah, his pits and his bits.
I don't think so.
I don't think
because it was like, you know, fucking alcohol, like rubbing alcohol essentially.
Yeah, you can't just spritz that into your genitals. That's not a fun time.
No. And I mean, this had to like dry out their hands and shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, at least they were doing something though.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
So what is really funny to me is how they would mention them cleaning their feet all the time. Of all the places to be like concerned about smelling.
Yeah.
Sir, what about your dick? It smells like fromage.
It smells like dick fromage.
Yeah.
Because there is a buildup of it.
Yeah.
You're not cleaning it.
Yeah. So I just, you know, I don't know.
I know. It's weird. Some of the things they were doing, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, spritzing alcohol into your pits, it actually like kills the odor and like the bacteria and stuff. So that's good. But like,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know that we're going to touch on this, but they didn't really launder their clothing except for their like undershirts and their like linens, like
they're
their
like
regular
bed
shirts.
linens. Yeah. And their bed linens. Yeah.
But they didn't. I don't know that they washed like their stockings or socks and stuff. They may have just dry brushed them, in which case they would be very stinky. You know, like when you wear tights.
Silk.
Yeah, and you know, like when you wear tights, like a couple times between washes or whatever, they get stinky.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're not washing your tights every time.
I mean,
I don't.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I don't wear tights anymore. But
no, I don't wear tights anymore. But the feet get stinky.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it gets stretched out too. So it's like, I don't know. Well, I don't know what they were doing with their feet, but I can imagine. I can imagine though that like their hands and their, you know, whatever their faces, that they were putting this aqua vitae on was probably getting very dry.
Yeah.
And so they were like very into lotions and potions and perfume.
Yeah.
Perfume is one of the main things that was keeping a lot of the stank at bay. It was
covering it.
It was covering. Well, it wasn't keeping it at bay. You're right. It wasn't like neutralizing any odors. It was. It was just like adding a frill to the
floralness,
a cloying floral bouquet to the shit and piss and BO that was prevalent in the palace.
And like old sex smells.
Yeah. So like I'm talking a lot of perfume though. Like they were covering themselves in it. There was one of Louis XIV's mistresses who would get butt ass naked and make her servants like rub perfume all over her body.
Yeah.
Like perfume. And I'm talking like, it's not like a spritz here, a spritz there. It's like the heavy, oily, like concentrated perfume of the time.
Yeah. It's like essential oils.
Yes, but like intense.
Yeah.
So all these people are stanky as hell, and they got the perfume covering it up. And I'm just thinking, like, I'm getting a headache thinking about it, honestly. And as I'm watching the documentary, I was just gagging thinking about how awful it must have been. Like, just when you walk into a room in this palace, like how bad it must have been. Like Louis XIV, like we've been talking about his mistresses, like mentioning them, but they all had their signature scents for him, like things that he would say, oh, I like that, and then they would just like buy the shit out of it and wear it constantly, like douse themselves in it. I mean, they would literally put their clothes into it, like they dunk it in there. Like, you know, we get really offended when men or women are wearing like a shit ton of perfume or cologne.
Yeah.
This was like times 1,000 is what I'm imagining.
I would have died, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
I would have had such bad, probably like headaches, vertigo, allergies. Like I just would have been, oh God, My
olfactory like situation is very like sensitive. So
same.
I just don't think I would have survived.
No,
but
I wouldn't.
I mean, Louis XIV, like he'd walk into a room, and it got so bad with all the perfume because like once people like realized like, oh, perfume is like the way to go.
Yeah,
that's like a Band-Aid that everybody went with. Like it was just everywhere. So whenever he'd walk in a room, he would immediately make everybody open all the windows because it would be so overwhelming.
Yeah. And they're all mixing too, which can't smell good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like every smell of perfume that's available. It's like vanilla and sandalwood and orange blossom and pineapple and honey and what. It's just like all the smells, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah. It was a cacophony of scent.
No.
But he did have the like understanding enough to be like, the perfume is so intense, it's making me sick, and it's also giving me migraines. Mm-hmm. He figured that was exactly what was giving him migraines, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
How did you figure this out, but couldn't figure bathing out? Like, I just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So again, water just not in the equation, and because of that, like since water was not for bathing, everybody's hair was disgusting.
Oh.
They all wore wigs. And if you've ever worn a wig for an extended period of time, you know it gets hot. You get sweaty. It's itchy. Mm-hmm. And that's like today's wigs.
Yeah, which are like very, like so well made. And like some of them are actual human hair. And like they're like thinner lace and stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, and they're made for comfort.
Yeah, they're made more for comfort. Yeah, and there's products that help with like, you know, keeping your scalp hydrated and shit like that.
Yeah, but back then they just like slapped a wig on because their hair was so greasy. If they had any at all, I don't know.
Yeah. And it was a style.
It was a style. It was like the bigger the better. Like everything was just like fake. Everything was a like plaster over the like
the like deteriorating skin and scalp of the people of court because they refused to bathe.
Yeah, like it was just everything was being band-aided over in the worst ways possible.
Yeah.
And so they powdered these wigs though, and they powdered them with like, you know, stuff that was toxic, because they didn't know. You know, it would make them sick. It would irritate their skin, and they would get sores from this. And you know, they'd of course, and then they like slather themselves with makeup on top of this. So they have powder on their heads, they have powder on their faces. They're just completely slathered in poisonous stuff, basically.
Well, and it's just the buildup, right? Because it's like, even if that stuff isn't poisonous, let's say the powder is fine for your skin, whatever.
That shit is comedogenic as fuck.
Yeah, dude. Like, you're never washing the old stuff off. So, I mean, maybe they're wiping it off, but it's like they're not ever getting like clean enough and letting their skin breathe that it like is good. But don't worry, because there's always more powder. And also, when your skin starts to have like gaping fucking sores and like huge ass zit holes in it because your like skin's eating each other, they just powder that in and then they put a beauty mark on it.
That's why beauty marks were so popular back then. They're covering up like huge breakouts of cystic acne or like boils, like you know, there was so many skin problems happening. They were literally spackling their faces with the poisonous whitening powders and creams, and all of this was so that they could be white, like very, very white. This is like the epitome of just white royalty.
That was like high class. That
was high class. And then this like kind of idea carried on. It still exists. Colorism is still a thing, but they basically, the aristocracy, very wealthy people, made themselves look as white as possible, like cartoonishly so in this time, and would rouge their cheeks to a degree that was clownish. And they draw like blue veins on them so that you could see how translucent their skin was, because anybody who is a shade lighter than porcelain or darker than porcelain was considered low class, working in the field, you know. So anybody that had a complexion like mine was, I was a servant, was a person who worked in the field and was not allowed anywhere near the court. So it was,
it's wild.
Yeah, it was just for them. And also like the whitest of the white to them was purity, which is why their undergarments or their garments were always sparkling white somehow. And why they changed so much. And
it's the only thing they washed.
Truly, yeah. And so like that was, the whitest whites were a sign of cleanliness and wealth. It was a miracle that anything was actually white then. Also, which is why they had to go so hard with the makeup.
Dude, yeah. And also why like they probably realized, hey, we're going to need to wash something because it is yellowing very quickly. The whole thing is just like a yellowy brown color after so-and-so puts it on because they're very greasy.
It's like laying in bed after getting a fake tan, you know?
Yeah.
Like that is what all their bedding probably look like.
Oh my God. Ew. That's gross.
Yeah. God. And then, so this is like kind of the meat and potatoes of just like how gross everything was. But some of the grossest things I've ever heard about.
Oh my God.
We're going to talk about right now.
Oh.
Like, I honestly got like nauseous or learning and reading about some of this stuff. Like this shit. So you kind of understand. Okay, yes, we get it. They hated bathing. They didn't like water, whatever. They gave themselves like when you're camping and you like a French bath. Yeah, you do a little.
I think that's where it comes from.
Probably.
Yeah.
and there's a reason there was like the stigma about French people during this time is because they were truly gross. Even the English, who are not like paragons of fucking, like hygiene and cleanliness at this time either, were like disgusted by the French.
Whoa.
Like the King of England was like, I'm not going to go talk to these people. They smell really bad and I can't stand it.
But also, it was a party. So also, the French were being gross, but also good for them. Because they were just like, you know what? Let's just like all fuck each other as much as we can and like wear fancy makeup and like.
Yeah.
They were having a fun time.
Yeah, it was like the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
GTL. Like, yeah. So, So these are some of the grossest things, though, that would happen at Versailles. Yeah. As a result of the non-bathing. So we mentioned earlier at the top of the episode that there are about 4,000 people at any given time, like at the max capacity at the time living at Versailles. Excuse me. So this is all the courtiers and all their staff, and that's on top of all the staff that worked for the king and helped upkeep the palace. So this is like a village of people in a house, basically a big house, but
it's like a hotel. It's like
a hotel,
big place.
Yeah. And all of those people just really polluted that entire place constantly. Not just with their smell, but like with just living there, they were like gross too. Their habits were disgusting.
Yeah.
They didn't clean up after themselves, of course. And because of this, the staff couldn't keep up with all the shit and piss and grossness that these damn people were contributing. So over the course, you get rats and mice. Like these people, like the staff just really was overwhelmed by these people.
I don't think we said, maybe we said, but there was no running water at this time. So
no, I think you mentioned that at the very beginning. But
okay.
There was.
Yeah, so that's just like a reminder then, because there's no, everything needs to be taken care of and should, like, piss and shit pots should be taken care of in a timely manner, but maybe they weren't always. And that's even if there's areas to go, which we already talked about, like there's not a lot of places, there's not a lot of fart closets built into this place.
No. Yeah, like, and also I'm thinking of just the like logistics of cleaning up after dinners, and anytime they would eat, they would just like leave their plates everywhere. And where and how do you wash dishes when you don't have running water? Like it's fucking very
your menstrual belts. You just unhook it, leave it in the corner. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't have to clean it up. I'm not cleaning it up.
Yeah, there's just like think of like the grossest like rock star you can imagine. Just trashing a hotel room. That was like every fucking night that they had a party,
Fucking who's the lead singer of Motley Crue? Think of Motley Crue's apartment, in their think of Motley Crue's apartment from their biography where they were like fucking women for toilet paper and stuff, and it was just like the most disgusting place. That's what this is, but like it's been shined and it's like gold plated.
Yeah. But also people were pissing on the carpets and on the walls.
So it is like Motley Crue's apartment.
So it is like
Motley
even
more than you thought.
Yeah. And just because of this, there was rodents everywhere. There was mice and rats. And like the dirtiness wasn't just like on an individual level. It was like on a widespread like community level. Yeah. And there were also like shit pits, like AKA holes where servants would dump all the shit that would collect in piss pots and stuff, and there'd be places out on the grounds where they could dump it, but that shit would fill up real fast, and the stench would waft over the palace constantly.
Oh my god. And that's if they even took it out and put it there, because somewhere like, I mean, you have to like go way outside, and what if it's like the weather's gross or whatever? What if you're busy, you have like a ton of things to do? Sometimes they would just like dump it out the window into the courtyard, the same courtyard that everyone's apartments in the palace overlooked.
Yeah.
And they were just dumping shit and piss pots out into the courtyard, just splashing it out there, and people were just living their lives, and it's so gross.
These people were disgusting.
They were so disgusting. There was in the courtyard, there was a piss wall for all the men to go pee-pee on, and like it didn't drain anywhere. It was just a designated area. There was nothing special about it. It just was a designated wall for the men to piss on so that they didn't go in the palace, like behind a door, which is what the women did.
Yeah, imagine just like a dog park outside of your apartment window that never got cleaned.
But all the lady dogs are just pissing in your shoes.
Yeah.
Like
inside
in your home. They don't.
Yeah.
And they just
in
go
the
to
hallway.
Yeah. They just go to the dog park to look cute.
Yeah.
With their scary clown makeup faces. And it's honestly, they talked about how like women would carry like piss pots around with them, and that you could kind of pee. It was kind of like how Louis would just like take dumps when he had like an audience at court or whatever. The women would just carry around piss pots and just like put it under their dress, and like if they wanted to pop a squat and pee on it, they could, and but also they didn't have to. People were just peeing wherever they could find a moment.
Yeah.
On whatever.
Like they'd have like parties and get drunk, and like dudes would just piss like off balconies or on indoors on the carpet, on the wallpaper, like in this very fancy house. Like this is like, and it's like it's still in the process of being built, so it's like new, like furnishings.
Oh,
and
my
it's
God.
just like it's so
rude.
It's so rude.
Oh my God. But also, speaking of piss pots and speaking of Brighton, they were like silver, so they were also fashion. So it's like, take a toilet, make it fashion.
Oh, I mean, if we had carried over somehow that tradition of like carrying around our own piss pot.
Yeah.
Like it'd be like a cell phone now, basically. Like,
yeah, you could bedazzle it. You could you could hang a charm off the handle.
Mm-hmm. Like that's what they were doing.
Yeah, you could have different piss pots. Yeah, it would be like a purse. Like you could have different piss pots to match your like outfit.
Yeah, you can make it look like a wig, like a mini wig, but it's actually your pot for your. It's like a merkin, but
but you couldn't put it back on your head after you used it.
No, it's like a miniature wig. It's just like made to look like a wig, but it's actually a piss pot, and everybody's like, "Oh, so clever! Oh, I love it."
My piss pot looks like a glove. Is that a third glove? No, it's my piss pot.
Like that.
Good day.
We're suddenly English.
Yeah, I know, but that's how fancy people sound in my head.
Yeah,
because
sure.
also the French accent is like too cartoony if I do it.
Yeah, for sure.
I would make a piss pot that looks like a second set of my titties.
Oh yeah, I mean, gorgeous.
Oh my goodness, are those your titties? No, this is my piss pot, but it looks like my titties.
These are my piss tits.
These are my pissies. These are my tiggled pissies. The nipples unscrew so I can empty it.
That is innovation, my friend. Okay. Oh God. Well, so we had mentioned that people wore these wigs, powdered the shit out of them, wore all this makeup, would just get sores, get zits, just have like horrifying breakouts because of this.
Yeah.
And they just kept using all of this toxic makeup and powder. I mean, you can't even really call it makeup now. It's just literally like.
Oh, really? That's how toxic it was?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's just like baby powder, like
yeah,
talc powder or something, just really heavy and comedogenic, like you said earlier. Man, and everyone just had like, I mean, if I use dry shampoo, I get cystic acne like around my like ears and my neck, so I can't use it because my skin gets clogged so quickly. But like that, they didn't know that was doing that, and even if it was, that was de rigueur or whatever they said. It was a look, so people had to keep doing it, even if it was making you disgusting, which it was. Their wigs had like not only was the palace covered in rodents, their wigs were covered in rodents. Like their wigs had bugs and like mice and shit eating in them and like just like hiding in there.
Yeah.
It's so gross.
It was, yeah, the wigs were putrid.
Yeah.
And for example, this is one of the many horrible things that happened in the palace at this time. Louis XIV had such a bad infection on his neck from his wig. Even his doctors were grossed out by it, and they wrote in their journals about how gross it was.
Oh,
like they were like they lost any like kind of tact or professionalism just writing about this. Like,
God,
this
that's
shit's
bad.
disgusting. Yeah.
This man beheaded people, and the doctors are still like, that's how bad it was that they're like, dude, I know I might be killed for this, but I gotta tell you,
it was disgusting. Yeah,
I threw up in my mouth.
Yeah, it was just like so fucking bad.
I shit myself. It was so bad. And then I didn't clean it up because it's Versailles. Yeah. I'm a Versailles guy.
The toilet of Versailles. Yeah, I mean, but as it turns out, this sore on this infection on his neck was an anthrax infection from his parasite infested wig.
Oh my God, that's
and they literally
awful.
had to like drain pus out of his neck because of this.
No.
Yeah.
That's enough. Pig.
Okay, but that's not even the worst. That'll do, pig. But that's not even the worst thing that I read or watched in this documentary about the time in Versailles. That as a result of the horrible, horrible hygiene. The absolute worst thing I learned about was, okay, first of all, they did actually try to take care of their teeth. Like they had like little chewing stick things.
They tried to take care of their breath.
They tried, but white teeth were like good teeth were a sign of like wealth and whatever. That was they tried, they really did, but they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And and Louis had he had like these little things he chewed on to like keep his teeth in decent shape, like
the dog toothbrush treats, where it like is just a treat, but it's like pokey, so it's supposed to like get rid of tartar.
Exactly.
They're just out here chewing on sticks and like.
But I mean, because they were rich and because they had access to sugar, they were all just like chomping on sugar and whatnot. So their teeth got bad. Eventually, one of his mistresses had really bad teeth because she loved sugar, which is fair. Like it's a drug. So, but the worst thing I heard about this dental situation was the dental hygiene situation with Louis XIV got bad at one point. He had a toothache and his doctor tried to pull the infected tooth out, but ended up ripping out his like palate in the top of his mouth. Like destroyed his palate somehow by trying to pull a tooth. And it basically made.
Did he just like accidentally catch the gums?
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know. It was like, I really don't know. Maybe like it was so infected that it like got into the like palate of his mouth. Like, you know what I mean? And the tissue had become like necrotic or
like
something.
Rotted. Yeah.
So at any rate, the doctor basically like ripped the roof of his mouth out, part of it, and it created a hole that went like up into his nasal cavity, and he just had a fucking hole in the roof of his mouth forever, and it would just continuously fill with pus.
Yeah,
forever and ever.
It was like a real. It was like a palate piercing, I guess.
I don't know. It was like a hole punched in his palate. It reminds me of when I was a little kid and I was playing with our neighbors next door, and one of the neighbor kids jumped off the fucking couch with a Tinker toy in her mouth and jammed the roof of her mouth and put a hole in her mouth. It was terrible. It was one of those like I was extremely young and I still remember it kind of like things where it was that traumatic. So
that gives me a coochie tingle. What is that? A pussy quiver?
Pussy quiver.
In a bad way.
A pussy pulse.
It gives me a bad one. Whenever I hear of people getting hurt, I like feel it in like it goes down my spine and into my genitals.
That's not what you want.
No, I don't. I don't like hearing about people getting hurt. I don't like seeing people getting hurt, and I don't like hearing about it.
Yeah. Well, poor Louis XIV. He basically at the end of his life, I don't think he had any teeth left.
No. It was like, yeah, his mouth was all kind of like sunken in.
And it's like, what do you eat after? I don't know.
Pureed foods. It's all liquid diet. Well, and also like, it's wild that like if people did lose teeth, they would just like shove something in there so that their like mouth didn't like dimple, you know?
Yeah. So like a lot of people would lose teeth because of like the rotting and the poor dental hygiene.
Yeah.
It would like sink in their like cheeks and stuff, so they would have to like stick stuff up there to like
their dog treats. They'd cut a little dog treat off and stick it in there. Yeah,
just to like prop up their facial structures. It was a whole mess.
Yeah. Oof. Oh my God! All of it. This whole time period was just like painting over problems.
Yeah,
it's like no one's like. They're not stopping to think, oh, maybe like what we're doing and how we're living is like bad. Maybe it's actually causing some of the stuff. They just like powered through it.
Yeah, it was like everything was decaying, even though it was new. Yeah. Because and in spite of everything that they were doing to like be, I don't know. It's just gross.
They just go, put a beauty mark on it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Why don't you just powder it a little? It'll be fine.
Yeah. Put a fresh coat of paint on it, on that piss stain.
Have you tried a wig?
And honestly, you just have to remember that at the time, these were some of the wealthiest people on the planet.
Yeah.
They were spending so much money papering over all of the shit that just kept building up that it like the sunk cost of living at this place was none of it was preventative. It was all just sticking your finger in a hole to keep things from falling apart, sticking a piece of wood in your fucking gaping tooth hole. I don't know.
Powdering a hole. You were just powdering a hole, covering it over.
Just plaster and caulk your face. You're fine. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if like regular people actually had better health because they didn't have excessive diets like this. Like they weren't eating as much sugar, I would imagine. They weren't drinking as much. They weren't like using perfume. Like, you know what I mean? I wonder if they actually had like healthier like systems.
Well, I think it probably all balanced out in terms of like life expectancy and the way that they were worked to death and
that's fair,
had no doctors to take care of them.
Yeah.
And they just would die of simple infections all the time.
Yeah.
Because they still did have poor hygiene, but nowhere.
Right. But it was not like on purpose, like how they were doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. But all these wealthy ass people lived in filth and were spending what would be the equivalent of like a person's yearly salary on fucking perfume to cover up the stink. And also, don't forget that this whole place was a literal muddy ass construction site for decades. So it didn't look good on the outside. No. It didn't have this beautiful, like magisterial, look to it that we associate with it now. It was just a shithole. Like
a literal shithole.
It was a literal shithole while Louis XIV and his courtiers lived there.
Yeah.
I would not have survived this place. My God, a true nightmare.
Oh my God. Could you imagine the tour that you would get? Like if you came to visit during then, it's like, and here's our shithole of gardens. Yes. Any place is a toilet. And now this is our actual shit garden. Yeah.
This is where we dump the shit.
And this is our whatever. This is the shit. This is the shit master suite that you'll be staying in. People have taken dumps in here earlier today. You can smell it.
Enjoy.
Yes. Yeah, this is the shit dining room where you'll be taking your meals.
Well, and the irony of all this is that they had fountains at the time, like working fountains at the time, that they were pumping water to constantly. And I read a fact about how the water they supplied just to the fountains, mind you, had no running water in the palace, like we said, but the fountains alone that were like for the look and nothing else.
Yeah.
No one was using the water to bathe in or like drink or anything like that. The water that was being supplied to Versailles for just the fucking fountains was more than the water supply that was supplied to the entire city of Paris.
That checks out.
So the extravagance and the like just for looks of this place was like the epitome. And honestly, I get why the French Revolution happened because, so the legacy though of this place is like, remember the shit pits that we talked about, like the shit holes on the grounds. When Louis XIV actually died, the entire palace was abandoned. All the courtiers left. They went back to Paris because they're like, we fucking hate it here. Oh my God, it's so disgusting. Yeah. And they left everything. And so the palace is abandoned. And so the locals who actually live in the town of Versailles are like, oh, fuck yes, these people are gone. We can use the aqueducts to funnel all of our shit to get rid of it because we couldn't do anything with this land that is just like here, and now we can get rid of our shit and get it out of our fucking backyards. Yeah. So the town of Versailles hooked their cesspits up to the palace aqueducts, and without realizing where the pollution would end up, their shit and piss water went into the waterways that people used for drinking water and for fishing the next town over, and it killed and made thousands of people sick.
Oh no.
So yeah, it was just like one thing after another. But, all that aside, luckily Louis XV and Louis XVI had better ideas about cleanliness. They did not subscribe to the no bathing to the degree that Louis XIV did. And
it was kind of like, trends change and stuff. And like people started to look at that and be like, this is gross. Like this amount of like just grandeur is just too much. Like we don't like all this. And also they started getting smarter. Like Louis XV was like, hey, does anyone else think it's weird that like we just like bathe in our dirty water when we need to get clean? Like for real. And people were like, I guess. And he's like, all right. So then he started taking 2 baths where he would like wash in one and then he would rinse off in a clean one.
There you go.
So you're not just sitting in your own filth. And then when you get out, you're covered in a layer of filth.
Yeah. Yeah.
From emerging. Like he'd be like, no. And then he'd rinse that off. And so that was good.
Yeah. They just, they started to figure it out.
Yeah. They added more toilets. They added more bathrooms, baths, everything. They were like, dude,
here's one toilet here.
You'll have one bathroom here? Where does everyone shit and piss? And then people were like, I don't know, anywhere. Yeah. And he was like,
where isn't the bathroom?
I don't know. I guess if I had to say, this whole place is a bathroom. Go wherever you want. And he was like, no, I would like to eat my food in a room that hasn't been shit in.
I mean, that's the irony of all of this is that because they were so afraid of water, they got rodents. Yeah. Rodents are actual carriers of bubonic plague and other, diseases. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they were probably exposed to all kinds of shit that made them sick and break out. Like, who's to say? Like, I can't even imagine. Like, they thought, like, they were afraid of being poisoned. It's like, you're poisoning yourself. Like,
yeah.
You're poisoning yourself with your makeup and your fucking, you don't know.
I know. It's so gross. It's just like.
The ignorance was like, you don't know what you don't know, of course.
Yeah, that's fair.
So we can't be, I am going to be very hard on them because they were like super rich and they had like doctors and shit. And it's just like, there's no excuse, and like other parts of the world were like, the fuck are you guys doing over there?
They're like, you have a fucking gaping open sore on your face from your skin actually eating itself because it's so dirty. It's like growing a bacteria and it's eating itself. And your solution is to just put more powder on it. Maybe let it breathe.
Yeah.
Sir or madam.
Well, luckily though, like things changed.
Yeah.
And you know, everybody, science has progressed, and we understand the things about hygiene now that we now look back on and are horrified by.
We know more now. We know more now.
I wonder what's going to be like in the future, like how we're going to look at how we thought of hygiene. And I don't know, like, were we doing too much to like we're going to look back at like hand sanitizer and I don't know, which is the aqua vitae of our day.
It is. Yeah. I love that name too. It just sounds like a cool ass perfume.
Oh yeah. I think
aqua
honestly
vitae.
It could be. I think it might be.
It might. Aqua de Jo.
Aqua de Jo.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. It's gross. But you know what? Now we have that cool ass palace. And it's nice.
And now it's in tip top shape.
And now it's nice. It doesn't smell. There's restaurants in there. It's a museum.
Yeah, it's since cool aired out.
Yeah, they've aired it out. There's no remnants of doo-doos or pee-pees anywhere. And you actually have to use a toilet when you're there. And it has running water now and everything's fine. But, like, you can't just piss or shit anywhere you want to then. I think you'd get in trouble. You'd be fined, maybe arrested.
Yeah, don't do as the French did in those days if you go visit at any point in time.
Yeah.
When we can all travel again. I would love to see it. When we traveled to Paris, we opted for Monet's Gardens rather than Versailles. And I hope I get a chance to go back.
Yeah, me too. I did not see enough. I'd like to see more.
Ugh.
If I'm ever so lucky. Yeah.
One day.
It would be nice.
Well, I can't talk about this subject anymore. It's disgusting. There's so much more about that you can read about. I mean, we touched on just what we personally thought was the most disgusting and like wanted to like kind of follow the through line that this excellent documentary that Brian suggested to us.
Yeah.
So check it out. It's wonderful. And don't watch it while you're eating lunch.
No, my God, do not. It is too much. It is too much. I had to stop.
Ugh.
All right. Well, I just don't. Maybe we'll share some pictures of weird toilets. I don't know what we're going to share, but you can follow us on social medias.
Yeah, follow us on social media. Go to DTFU Podcast everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And then we're also on YouTube. Follow us there.
Yep, you can watch this.
Watch our faces. Yeah. Watch our reactions to talking about horrible shit and piss palace.
Oh, piss palace.
The piss palace.
It's the Palace de Versailles.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening, you guys. And listen here. Be excellent to yourselves.
And each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.